Hello, anatomy students. We're ready to move now on to our new topic. And so we are now going to look at the cardiovascular system. And so we're going to get to the heart of the matter. And so if you'll excuse my pun, which of course you know how much I enjoy. And so we're just going to introduce it today. So this will not take more than a few minutes. And so also make sure, if you haven't done so, make sure that you did receive the study guide for this particular module. And also tells you exactly what will be on the test, and so we'll get to that later on. However, I want to go ahead now and start talking a little bit about some facts about the heart. This will be our introduction. All right. The heart is basically a very important muscle in your body, and so we already spent last semester on looking at muscles and some of its anatomy and physiology. The heart muscle, as you remember, is made up of its own specific type of tissue. And so of the four basic types of tissue, we also have cardiac tissue. And so whenever you hear the word cardiac or cardio, you should think about your heart. And so it's a really cool fact that your heart will pump about 7,000 liters of blood throughout the body each day. And so your heart is a pump that pushes blood through all parts of your body and gets recirculated again and again and again. And so the heart will contract some 2.5 billion with a B times in an average lifetime. And so typically the smaller the animal, the faster the heartbeat. The larger the animal, the slower the heartbeat. And so this number works not only for humans, but it also works for animals of all different sizes. The cardiovascular system consists of three parts. And so we, of course, have the heart. We already had you guys look at the blood last module. And then we also have the blood vessels. And so vessel, as you might think about, is basically allows for the carrying of blood throughout the body. And so you're probably familiar with the two or three most common types of vessels. That would be your arteries, your veins, and your capillaries. There are two other ones, and so we will be talking about that in a little bit. But there are the heart, the blood, and the blood vessels all together make up the cardiovascular system. There are two closed circuits or pathways within the heart. Whenever you see the word pulmonary, you should think of your lungs, because that's what pulmonary refers to. So the pulmonary circuit is what sends oxygen-depleted blood to the lungs to pick up oxygen and unload carbon dioxide. And so notice, remember, for animals, we breathe in oxygen and breathe out CO2. And so where this takes place then is along this pulmonary circuit of the heart. And so again, whenever you hear the word pulmonary, you should think about your lungs. All right. We also have a second, still important circuit, which is called the systemic circuit. This is going to send oxygen-rich blood and nutrients to all the body cells and will help to remove the wastes. And so those are the two major types of circuits, which are closed systems within your cardiovascular system. Let's talk a little bit now about the size and the location of the heart. The heart, as I mentioned before, is a hollow, cone-shaped, muscular pump. And so typically speaking, it's going to be about 14 centimeters long and about 9 centimeters wide. And so what you can do is if you take your hand and you make a fist, this represents roughly what the heart in your body size would be like. So again, if you take your fist and you do this, this is basically the size of your heart. And so contrary to what a lot of people believe, your heart is not on the left side of your body. It's actually more toward the medial or middle part of your body. And so the heart will lie within the thoracic cavity and it rests on the diaphragm. And so remember that the diaphragm is the powerful muscle beneath your lungs that helps you both inhale and exhale, oxygen breathe in, carbon dioxide breathe out. And so your heart, as you can see here, is more centrally located than what a lot of people believe. And so perhaps when we do the salute to the American flag, we should perhaps put our hands right here instead of over here, because our heart is actually more about here. All right. The heart is within what's known as the mediastinum, and so it borders laterally by the lungs, so either side of your lungs, here's your heart, posteriorly to the vertebral column, and anteriorly by the sternum. So remember, the sternum here, your breastbone, is important because it does allow protection against your heart. So your heart can withstand some pressure, and so don't do that at home if you don't want to. But again, that is where your heart is located. The base of the heart will lie right beneath the second rib. And so if we look at our ribs, we'll see right here is our second rib. And so it's going to start right about here. And so the heart's distal end, which means the far end, extends downward and to the left. So if you look at this picture over here, you're going to see that the heart not only goes downward this way, but it also extends to the left. So the point, this is the distal end of the heart, so it's going to point downward and to the left. So on my own body, the heart is going to be pointing down and to the left like this. And so again, if you want to get an idea of what your heart approximate size is, again, clench your fist, and so put it right about here, and therefore that would be about your heart. All right. We also need to talk a little bit about the three different coverings of the heart. And so just as we talked about before in the muscular system, just as we talked about before in the nervous system, there is a pattern in the way that these are named. And so again, whenever you see the word cardiac or cardio, you need to think about the heart. And so we see, first of all, that the outermost covering of the heart, this part right here, is called the pericardium. So again, see the word cardium. So again, that refers to the heart. So this is a covering that encloses the heart and the proximal ends of the large blood vessels. It consists of an outer bag, fibrous pericardium, and it's made up of dense connective tissue. And so remember, that was one of the types of connective tissues that we discussed last semester. All right, we next have what is referred to as the visceral pericardium, also otherwise known as the epicardium. And so, as you guys remember before, the reason it's called the epidermis is because it lies on top of the dermal layer of skin. So we again see the word epi, and so we know that epi means it's going to be on top of, and so in this case, it's on top of the heart, because again, cardio refers to heart. All right, and between these layers lies a pericardial cavity, which will help reduce friction between the pericardial membranes as the heart moves within them. So remember, your heart is a muscle, it's going to be in motion, it obviously needs some space in order to do its work, and so in order to prevent this bad friction that could happen between, let's say, your lungs and your heart, there is a cavity which does allow for the heart to move in and out without causing any friction. And so, again, another very good indication of intelligent design of the heart. All right, we're going to stop here after this, and so we're going to look a little bit closer at these three different parts of the heart wall. And so we have three distinct layers. We again have what's referred to as the epicardium. So remember, epi is upon, cardium is heart. It's the outermost layer that consists of connective tissue beneath the epithelium that protects the heart by reducing friction. And so it is also there to help reduce friction. We have the myocardium. Whenever you see the prefix myo, you should think about muscle, because that's what it's referring to. So myo refers to muscles, like I'm doing an Arm & Hammer commercial. But anyways, myocardium is the thick middle layer that consists mostly of cardiac muscle tissue that pumps the blood out of the heart chambers. And so you need, obviously, something strong and durable to keep pushing that blood out. And so the myocardium is the thickest most layer. And so we can see here that it is the thickest of the three layers of heart tissue. And then the endocardium, so remember, when you come into or enter a room, you are coming into. So endocardium is the inner layer that consists of epithelium and connective tissue. It also contains elastic and collagenous fibers, blood vessels, and Purkinje fibers. And so we'll talk about what each of those are in the next couple lessons. And so I hope that this was a good introduction to you for the cardiovascular system, and I will talk with you guys again soon.